Meet Marco. He's 32, works in software development, and he's got a problem. He's been coming to the Daily Grind coffee shop every morning for 3 years. He orders the same cappuccino, sits in the corner with his laptop, and wonders why his life feels stuck. One Monday morning, everything changes. He notices something he'd never seen before: a vintage dartboard hanging behind the counter, and a small sign that says, "Tuesday night darts tournament." Marco had a thought. You know what? I used to play darts in university. I completely gave it up. Maybe it's time to pick it back up. That Tuesday, Marco showed up nervous. He hadn't touched a dart in over a decade. The barista, Sophia, was amazed. You play darts? That's awesome. I've been running this tournament for 2 years. And honestly, it's tough to get competitors. Marco discovered something fascinating. Competitive darts has a massive following. Did you know that professional darts players earn millions? The PDC World Championship has a prize pool of over £4 million. As Marco played that first night, he realized his hands still remembered the motion, the stance, the grip, the release. His muscles had muscle memory. He came second that night, but more importantly, he felt alive for the first time in years. He realized he'd abandoned his hobbies when he'd gotten serious about his career. But here's where the story gets interesting. Marco started chatting with the other regulars. There was Chen, who was obsessed with rock climbing and trained at the gym 5 days a week. There was Priya, who'd just taken up skateboarding at 28, something she'd always wanted to try but was too afraid of. And there was David, who'd been collecting vintage vinyl records for 15 years and had turned his hobby into a side income by selling rare finds online. Marco realized something crucial. These people weren't just doing hobbies. They were building communities, staying physically active, developing new skills, and finding meaning outside their jobs. He asked Chen one morning, "Don't you get exhausted? Work all day, then climbing at night?" Chen smiled and said, "It's the opposite. Climbing is what keeps me sane. It's meditation for me. I can't think about emails when I'm on a wall." That hit Marco hard. Now, Marco is originally from Spain, and English is his second language. Here's what amazed him. By being around these people, his English improved dramatically. He had to ask questions. What's the difference between bouldering and rock climbing? How often do you participate in competitions? What made you take up skateboarding? He learned vocabulary naturally. Words like endurance, technique, consistency, passion project, competitive spirit, and work-life balance. When someone mentioned they were burnt out, he understood the context. When Chen talked about his hobby being his outlet, Marco got it. He wasn't learning English from a textbook anymore. He was learning it from real people talking about real things they loved. And guess what? His boss noticed. Marco was more focused at work, less stressed, and ironically, more productive. He joined the company's climbing club and made new friends. His side project, learning darts strategy, made him more strategic in his thinking. 3 months later, Marco decided to do something bold. He organized a skills swap night at the Daily Grind. Chen taught a beginner climbing lesson using online videos. Priya taught skateboard basics in the parking lot outside. David gave a talk about record collecting. Marco ran the darts tournament. And Sophia? She started a baking course and taught them how to make the perfect croissant. People from the neighborhood came. Some brought their hobbies. Others discovered new ones. A woman named Lisa came for the croissant class but ended up absolutely hooked on darts. A teenager showed up for skateboarding and ended up learning about vinyl records. The event was packed. The local newspaper even covered it with the headline, "Coffee shop becomes community hub for passion projects." Marco realized that hobbies weren't selfish escapes from life. They were bridges to other people, other cultures, other ways of thinking, and they were essential to learning. Not just English, but life itself. So here's the real lesson. And it's not just about English. When you pursue a hobby seriously, whether it's sports, music, art, cooking, or collecting, you naturally enter a community of people who speak about that passion fluently. You learn vocabulary without trying. You develop resilience when you practice. You build confidence when you improve. You create friendships through shared enthusiasm. Marco went from feeling stuck to feeling alive. He improved his English while improving his health and his happiness. And it all started because he asked himself one simple question. What did I love doing that I've completely forgotten about? Your challenge this week. Think about a hobby you've abandoned or something you've always wanted to try. Then find your community, whether it's online, at a local club, or yes, at your favorite coffee shop. Because that's where real English learning happens. Not in grammar books, but in conversations with people who care about something. What's your hobby going to be? Tell us in the comments. And remember, leveling up your English means leveling up your life.